Today, I'm going to show you how to add birds to any photo in Photoshop. Hey guys, and welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace, and you can find me on Phlearn.com, where we make learning Photoshop and photography fun. And as my favorite Portlandia episode says, just put a bird on it. And that's exactly what we're doing in today's episode. So adding birds to a photo is really simple. It can add some nice movement and some nice whimsy to a photo, and we're going to show you how to do it in just a couple of steps. All right, we got a great episode. Let's go ahead and jump into Photoshop. Jumping into Photoshop, we've got two separate photos. So here's our photo. It's a beautiful engagement couple here, and wouldn't it be nice if there were some birds flying right there in the background? So finding pictures of birds is very simple to do. I just went on a stock image website. I went to Adobe Stock and just typed in birds flying and found this picture. There's thousands and thousands of pictures, so you can find the right birds and the right formations and all that sort of thing. So we're going to work on transferring these birds from this photo into this photo. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a selection around the birds that we actually want to transfer, because I don't need to transfer this entire photo. So let's just focus on a selection just around the birds we actually want to move over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my lasso tool, okay, right over here, and we're just going to make a quick selection. I'm just drawing a quick selection around the birds that I want to transfer from one photo to another one. Okay, there we go. So now that my selection is active, I'm going to use my Move tool. So let's click on our Move tool and click and drag from one image over to another one. Okay, let's hit Convert if it asks you if you want to convert color profiles. Just hit OK. There we go. And here we have. So basically we have birds on our new photo. So I'm going to hit F for full screen. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And now we need to figure out, okay, these birds are on a blue sky. I need to get them transferred so they look like they're actually, on this yellow sky. So the first thing I need to do is I need to select the color of the sky. I need to select this blue and then create a layer mask. So basically the blue I want to be invisible and the birds I want to be visible. Okay, now that's really easy to do. All I have to do is make sure I'm clicked on the layer with the birds, and we're going to go to Select and down to Color Range. Okay. Now with Select Color Range, basically you can click on any color. So let's just click on this eyedropper tool here. You can click on any color, and that's what's going to be the color that gets selected. So I can click down here and you can see basically whatever is light in the photo is going to be selected, and whatever is dark is not going to be selected. So our goal here, we want to select the background of our photo. So let's go ahead and click here. I want to select the sky. Now you're going to see it's not perfectly selected. You could see this dark area and stuff like that right now. So what we need to do is add to our selection. So we've selected some of our sky. Now let's click on this Add eyedropper, the eyedropper with a plus icon. Okay, and now we'll click right down here, and there we go. We can just add to our selection. And our goal here, we want the entire sky to be white, meaning it's perfectly selected. And we want our birds to be dark, meaning they're not going to be selected. Okay, and you can adjust your fuzziness to include more or less. See, this is going to include less color range. This is going to include more color range. So you want to choose somewhere right between 50 and 100, and you want to make sure that your birds are not, see, if I go too far to the right, the birds are becoming a little bit lighter, which means they're going to get selected as well, which we don't want. We only want our sky to be selected. So let's go ahead and just bring that back down a little bit more. Anywhere between 50 and 100 should work on your fuzziness. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit OK. And now we have a selection of our background. You can see it also selected some of the colors of our other photo, or background photo, but that's not really that big of a deal. Okay, so now that we have our selection active, let's go ahead and load that as a layer mask on this layer. So make sure you're clicked on the layer with the birds, and we're going to go right here to our layer mask icon and click. Perfect. Now, this is exactly what we want. The only thing is it's inverted, right? So like you can see our sky is visible and the birds are not visible, which, if this ever happens to you, it's not a big deal. It's really easy to invert your layer mask. So you can click on your layer mask and hit Control or Command I to invert your layer mask. Okay, you can also go to Image, down to Adjustments, and to Invert. Okay, so inverting a layer mask just flips visibility. There we go. And now we have just birds on our new layer. Cool. And the birds look great. The only thing we need to do now is color match them a little bit because they were flying on a blue sky, meaning they're going to have some blue in them. So what we want to do is take some of the color from the background photo and apply it over top of the birds just to make sure that they do blend in with our new background. So now we need to get the color of the birds to accurately represent the color of the sky. So you can see, if I zoom in here a little bit, we can see we've got a lot of blue on the wings of the birds, and that's because they were flying against a blue sky. So we want to transform that. I want just a little bit more of this like nice orange color from the background. So it's actually really easy to do. All I need to do is duplicate my background layer. So let's click and drag my background layer to the new layer icon. Okay. I'm going to now bring this up above the bird layer. So let's click here and drag above the bird layer. There we go. And we're going to change this blending mode from normal down to hue. And it's going to change the hue to the hue of the background. So as I zoom in here, you're going to see now, let's just turn this off and on. You see all that blue that's on the geese that kind of makes it, not look super like they blend in. So changing the hue to this color of my background helps our geese, or whatever bird you decide, to actually blend in to the background much, much better. Okay, so just make this before and after. You can see they are blending in quite a bit better now. Okay, so now all I have to do, I can move my bird layer. This is going to stay in the same place, which makes sense. And don't worry, this won't affect your background layer because it's a copy of the background layer. It's not going to change anything. So we can move our birds. Let's go ahead and click on our birds, and I can use my move tool to just move them around now. And feel free to, let's say you wanted your birds to be like, right there, like, oh, that's so cool. Just zoom in to any areas where they might be like covering a, in this case, they're over top of a tree, right? So all you have to do is click on your layer mask there, and then hit B for the brush tool and paint black right over top of that area, and it's going to make sure that those birds do not show up over top of the tree. Okay, and in this case, you can also, now that your layer mask is pretty well defined, I can delete out birds too. If I'm like, while you're adding birds, you might as well have it be the the exact birds that you want. So you can go in here pretty easy and just, like these guys, we don't need you there. So you just paint black over top of any birds that you don't want and really easily delete them. So you can change your size, hit Control or Command T for your transform dialog and make your birds smaller or larger depending on, like this way they're going to look a little farther away. Now, if you do make your birds farther away, keep in mind that you've got some atmosphere in between you and the birds. So you want to just lower the opacity just a little bit, okay? And that's going to help them look like they've got just a little bit like more sky in between you and the bird. So if something's close to the camera, you're going to see full detail. If it's farther away, it's going to look a little bit more hazy, okay? So even something like that could work too. But in this case, let's go ahead and I'm going to hit undo a couple times. Let's just make them a tiny bit smaller, but I think they're going to be good right where they are. So there we go. And I'm going to hit Control or Command T, transform, and have them flying up in that direction. All right. Got a siren in the background, meaning that that's the "You Photoshop Birds Correct" siren. All right. That was probably the worst joke I've ever made. But here we have it. We have our birds cut out of the background, and they're added to this photo. And I think they really add a nice touch to our engagement photo. So it's very simple to do, and you can use it to add whimsy and a little bit of movement to any photo in Photoshop. All right, guys. Well, if you want to add birds to your photos, just follow these key steps. The first thing you'll need to do is find a photo of birds. I recommend just using a stock image website. In this case, we use Adobe Stock and just type in birds flying, and I found a picture that worked for us. Next, go ahead and make a selection with the marquee tool around the birds you'd actually like to transfer from one image to another, and use your move tool to click and drag. That's all there is to it. Now we're going to go ahead and select out the blue background. So let's go to Select and down to Color Range, and here we want to click on the blue sky in the background of our birds. Now we can hit this plus eyedropper as well, and that's going to select a little bit more. Now after our selection is active, go ahead and click on your layer mask icon, and in this case we needed to invert it. So just hit Control or Command I to invert any layer mask. The next step is making sure the color of the birds match the color of the sky, because if you got birds flying in a blue sky, they're going to have a little bit of blue on them. So in this case we needed to transfer a little bit of yellow. So what we did is duplicated our background layer, we put it on the very top and changed the blend mode to hue, which just changed that blue to a little bit more of this yellowish orange and allowed our birds to blend into the photo. And if there are any birds you don't want visible in the photo, simply paint black on the layer mask and you're good to go. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed learning how to add birds to photos in Photoshop. If you love Photoshop and photography as much as I do, go ahead and click on your screen right about now. We'll send you free Photoshop and photography episodes every single week. And if you have an idea for an episode or a question or a comment about today's episode, just leave it in the comment box right down below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much, guys. I'll Phlearn you later. Bye, everyone. Ooh, birds, dude. Find me on Phlearn.com, where we make learning Photoshop and just put a bird on it. Put a bird on it.